الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على من اجتبى وآله وصحبه ومن والاه. وبعد, questions have come more than once relating to the Institute Al-Maghrib. This institute that is known, it's not only known here in Canada, but has centers or branches across the globe. And their speakers and their instructors have connection to worldwide places. So many questions have come relating to their past and also their current condition. And I thought that it was necessary to respond to some of the questions that have come relating to Al-Maghrib, because it comes relating to issues that we're dealing at hand at the moment. Many people have been taken in the confusion and also the fog of what really is the way of the early ones and the methodology of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah. So I thought it was necessary and incumbent that we make some sort of clarification relating to this affair. So in summary, Al-Maghrib, the Institute Al-Maghrib, it was founded in the year 2002 by its founder and its president, Muhammad al-Sharif, who's a common resident here in Canada. You find that this topic, that this affair relating to Muhammad al-Sharif, he had a vision to form the best modern day learning system in the world. As it's been mentioned in the official website of Al-Maghrib, they first established some of their courses in Maryland, USA. Then they finally became established in Houston, Texas. From there on, Muhammad al-Sharif, as he started, he was influenced by that American author, Tony Robinson. He took a lot of his seminars, and he wanted to bring these ideas that he learned of self-development and personal development into forming Al-Maghrib and expanding in ideas. So he was taken by this love and passion to pass on the ideas that he learned from Tony Robinson. And he was given the nickname, the Tony Robinson of the Muslim community. And you're going to notice that he's not someone that denies this type of affair. He in fact takes no offense to this matter.
That whole people have called you the Tony Robbins of the Muslim community. I don't know if you've heard that or.
Yeah, what do you think about that term? I've called you that. Is that something you take offense to, or is that perfectly fine?
I don't take offense to it. Tony's done a lot more.
Have you ever met him or taken his seminars?
Yeah, I have. I've taken almost all of his seminars.
So here, this is a recent, within the month of May of this year, he's asked, he doesn't take, as we mentioned, any offense to that. And he admits to that, he takes a lot of his seminars, and he has put that on the ideas and the stream of what he's passing on to Al-Maghrib there then. So this is some of the influence that he had as a founder, because he said he was going to establish the best learning system in the world, not only in North America, but in the world, as he mentions. And from the people that he was greatly influenced by was Dr. Salah As-Sawi, a man who's known to be a political activist and a great sympathizer for making doubts in some of his written works to say that is somewhat justified in certain scenarios to do suicide bombings and suicidal acts under the name of jihad and also under the name of benefit for Islam. And you can see from some of the works that was written by Dr. Salah As-Sawi what indicates that. There's been specific works that has been proven to show that this is the belief of this person. And I'll read you exact quote, because he has two statements. He says that it is allowed to do these acts of jihad, what they refer to as jihad, of suicide bombings, if it's prepared prior. It has, he said, musbaq, tansiq musbaq, properly prepared. He says you can do that. And you're going to see as well that he brings this doubt that it is not something that goes against Islam. So I'll read you the exact quote. He says, وَلَا يَبْعُدْ الْقَوْلِ بِأَنَّ مَصْلَحَةَ الْعَمَلِ الْإِسْلَامِ قد تقتضي أن يقوم فريق من رجاله ببعض هذه الأعمال الجهادية. And he says, it's not far-fetched that a statement be uttered for the benefits of the Islamic work that necessitates some of these acts to be done under the name of jihad. And he says the maslahah could bring about this, and concession could be given. This is found on his book الثوابت المتغيرات في مناهج التغيير, page 265. So this is one of the mentors and the heads that has been the figure of those who used to influence Muhammad Sharif. And you can hear an audio relating to this topic where Muhammad Sharif, he speaks about this topic. He speaks about some of this affair, and he admits to what happened.
He told me this point where there's a leader of a dawah organization in Egypt, has a lot of followers, and Sheikh Salah has armies of Azhari teachers at his whim. Right? In Egypt, just like you have all these students in North America that have no teachers, in Egypt it's the opposite. There are all these teachers with no students. So now with all these teachers, Sheikh Salah basically, he went to this person, he says, you got all the followers, and I have all the teachers. He said, all I want to do is give you like hundreds of teachers to go and educate your people, and we will back up. You're doing a good job, the dawah is going great, we just want them to have more knowledge when they go. And the leader of this dawah organization told Sheikh Salah, he said, we don't want your teachers. He's like, well, what's wrong? And the guy said, because they never come without hidden agendas. He said, every time we bring teachers, they come and they teach them Islam, and then they teach them about their own political movements and their own dawah organization. And he said, our people always convert out of our dawah organization and go to their dawah organization. He said, no, we're happy. Let the people stay ignorant as long as they're, working with us. And that's what...
So you can see in this clip by the founder of Al-Maghrib, Muhammad Sharif, where he refers to Dr. Salah al-Sawi, and he mentions him because he was the person who was known in Egypt to be a political activist. Many of the people did not want to accept anyone that was cultivated from Dr. Salah al-Sawi. And one of the reasons why, because when they would teach people, they would teach them certain things with hidden agendas. So yes, there was nothing wrong with that. Muhammad Sharif had found a problem with that. But this is to show that this man is not to be trusted, and also he has even aqeedah mistakes, even relating to his fatwa about tawaf around the graves. What is the ruling on it? In the same book that we quoted, what is the ruling on it? Is it shirk, what you're doing there, calling and doing tawaf around these graves? He as well has certain errors and observations that were made against him pertaining to that topic. So up until this day, Maghrib Institute, they translate for this person, and specific that one of their speakers, Ammar al-Shukri, he refers back to Dr. Salah al-Sawi for instructions and guidance. So this is just how the beginning of how the establishment was. From the first of its members was Yasir Qadi, Muhammad Faqih, Muhammad Al-Sharif was mentioned, the founder, Abdul Bari Yahya, and Yasir Birjas, who will be speaking about each one briefly, inshallah. So this is in the year 2004. It was made up of 5 of them. And in the year 2007, Al-Maghrib Institute produced a document where they made a pledge of mutual respect and cooperation. And it was signed by a number of Western scholars of diverse theological backgrounds. They had, some of them were people that had different beliefs. And we're going to see that, inshallah. That you can see the names of these people who signed at that time. And from the people who signed to that pledge to work together was someone that had Ash'ari belief, was Suhaib Webb, who was a man that he himself admitted that he was a Sufi, that he's a Sufi and Ash'ari. So Suhaib Webb became an official member of Al-Maghrib Institute in the year 2007. As well, from those people that signed and worked with Al-Maghrib afterwards was Hamza Yusuf, the well-known man of the translator of that poem that contains certain disbelief in it, Al-Burda, Faraz Al-Rabbani. These 2 individuals who have issues in their creed and much opposition to the belief of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah. During the year 2007, the vice president of Al-Maghrib, Walid Al-Basyuni, who comes here a lot in Toronto. He comes to, he's invited by some of these mosques and so forth. He defended that pledge and he clarified his support for it. From what he was asked during the interview was, how could we work with Ash'aris? So he replied back by saying, we have worked with Ash'aris throughout history. The whole ummah united behind Salah ad-Din Ayyubi, who was Ash'ari. Okay, this is the answer to justify working along with Ash'aris. Firstly, this statement is incorrect. Salah ad-Din Ayyubi, he wasn't from the scholars, he was just a warrior in Islam and position, and he was excused for very that time in that area. Much Ash'ariyah was widespread. So this is irrelevant to the topic. We're speaking about the affair of da'wah. You sitting along with different deviant speakers of different backgrounds and sharing the same platform with them, calling to the belief of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah, yet you contradict it by sitting along with this person who calls to the opposite. And this man, Walid al-Basyuni, he makes a lot of these statements, similar statements, regarding the matter of belief. He tries to show as if it's something small. For example, in the year 2008, Al-Walid al-Basyuni, when he was speaking about the topic of some Western speakers, they don't say that Allah has 2 eyes, the attribute of 2 eyes. He said, I don't see it to be a fundamental principle in Aqidah. A fundamental principle in Aqidah to make an issue about, to declare a person to be an innovator. So yes, this is an issue. This is a great issue. If you look at in the books of Aqidah, you don't come to the chapter of the eyes of Allah except the Ahlus-Sunnah mention that Allah has 2 eyes. And the Shaykh Muhammad Salih Uthaymeen says, wajib, as a believer of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah, to believe that Allah has 2 eyes and to affirm it as it comes. So this is a fundamental issue. Don't make it look like it's a matter of ijtihad. You just pass on, move on. And this was taken from their forum at that time. So in summary, we come to see the effect of that pledge from that time, 2007, till now, because Al-Maghrib and many of their associates, they continue to work with people who have oppositions in their creed to Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah, and this has been promoted on their website, Muslim Matters. So many of them, they promote this pledge and they continue to update it. Al-Maghrib, they attained their popularity more in the year 2009, where they used to use the name of the suffering that was happening in Gaza to establish fundraising appeals, certain campaigns. So they used to get a lot of people to attend their lectures under the name of the people that were suffering in Gaza. Yes, this is a good cause to collect money for people that are suffering, but up until now, the transparency of that event has been doubted, and a lot of that money that has been gathered, like for example, they said they've gathered within 4 hours 150,000 within 4 hours, and they mention tons of amount of money, and people are now in doubt of how that money was spent and distributed. So these type of charity events, it requires transparency. So also from what increased the popularity of Al-Maghrib was they used to attract many of the youth under the name of halal fun and comedy. You could notice from many of their courses, it consists of jokes and comedy. Sometimes jokes about countries, jokes about different tribes. All of this is supposed to be halal fun. You find like some of them, they will say, for example, the Saudis are jealous of the Sudanese, and they'll mention this in their courses and so forth. And this is found in recordings. And also Al-Maghrib gained many followers, or they gained more followers, especially here in Canada, by the way of Al-Huda, that institute that's found in Mississauga, and also through the help of the University of Toronto, through Abdul Hakim Quick in the University of Toronto, where he has positioning there. Also by the way of Khalid bin Walid Mosque, hosting them annually for their Sound Heart conferences. And as well through the RAS conferences that they do annually. So Al-Maghrib Institute, it began to expand more and more and reach into tons of different countries across the globe. And Al-Maghrib Institute, they began to hire more instructors from the year 2009 up until the year 2015. And from those who joined them in the year 2009 was Dr. Abdul Hakim Quick. Abdullah Hakim Quick, he joined them at that time, and he continues to be a member of them up until this day. As of August 2015, the Maghrib Institute consisted of 19 instructors from different parts of the world. And we're going to speak about some of their instructors, briefly inshallah. The Arab Spring that happened some years back, many of the instructors were Al-Maghrib were supporters of the Arab Spring, as noticeable from their website Muslim Matters. In specific, Yasser Qadi wrote an article on that website applauding it, while the senior scholars were warning from it, since it has been a stepping stool for the Khawarij to spread their mischief and bloodshed in the Muslim countries. And we see the harm that the Arab Spring has done up until this day. And many of them have not taken back what they used to applaud. So I'm just going to mention a few observations that was noticed against some of their instructors. For example, Umar Suleiman, a key member for Al-Maghrib Institute, who has currently become an infamous caller to unifying between Christianity and Judaism under the title Stronger Together. So here on the following clip, you're going to hear Umar Suleiman, what was recorded in the year 2008, inside a church. He makes an attempt to unify the three religions under the claim we all call upon the same God. And this is what we're going to hear.
We have an understanding in our faith, at least, that we are, not only are we calling upon the same God that Jews and Christians call upon, but in fact the Quran says when you speak to the people of the book, if you guys look up, there was an interfaith initiative called the Common Word that was initiated a few years ago. Started between Muslims and Catholics and spread. It's based on a verse in the Quran which says, "Say, O people of the book," which refers to the Jews and the Christians, "come to a common word that we worship our God, and your God and our God is one. Ilahukum wa ilahuna wahid. Your God and our God is one." So in Islam we have a very clear understanding that we are in fact calling upon the same God of Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. May peace and blessings be upon them all.
Thank you, Imam.
Okay. As you can notice, Umar Sulaiman doesn't complete the context for the verse he was reading, nor does he translate it correctly. Here's the full context of the verse and the correct translation by Muhsin Khan, which is a recognized translation and the standard for many of the Muslims for the Noble Quran. So the verse that he was reciting, قُلْ يَا أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ. So the translation we're going to read, the full, so they can hear it in English. Say, O Muhammad, O people of the scripture, Jews and Christians, come to a word that is just between us and you, that we worship none but Allah, and that we associate no partners with Him, and that none of us shall take others as lords besides Allah. Then if they turn away, say, bear witness that we are Muslims. So this is the full translation. It doesn't have what he mentioned. And also he left off a vital part of the verse, which is, come to a just word between us and you, that we worship none but Allah, and that we associate no partners with Him, and that none of us shall take others as lords besides Allah. But as to say we all are invoking the same God, that's incorrect. Some of them are invoking Jesus. Some of them are invoking different things. So this is incorrect. And also he mixes between verse 46 from chapter 29 of the Quran with the above verse, where it mentions Ilahuna wa ilahukum wahid. Your God and our God is one. It was specifically had a different context. It was had a different reason. Some of the scholars said that was relating to those who believed from the people of the scripture. And as well, it is in relation, the context is to say, let us believe in all of the revelation that's been sent down by Allah, and our God becomes one, and your God becomes one. That's the context of the verse. Not to what he's saying, that they are upon what they believe, and we all have the same God. That's incorrect. So both verses have two separate contexts and reason. Also, you can listen to the following clip where Umar Sulaiman claims we should put our differences aside concerning the topic of Jesus when having interfaith dialogues with the Christians. And you're going to notice, similarly, Yasir Birjas, another core member of Al-Maghrib, encourages on his Twitter of this year for establishing annual interfaith iftars. And iftars of Ramadan is for the Muslims to unify ourselves, to all have annual iftars together. This is incorrect. They're forgetting the verse, Lakum dinukum waliya din. To you be your religion, and to me, my religion. We have different religions. So this affair is very important to understand. So,
If a Muslim and Christian dialogue is very unique in that we both have an affinity towards Jesus, peace be upon him. And it's powerful because the two largest faith groups in the world have an affinity towards Jesus, peace be upon him. But I feel like in the past, the Muslim-Christian dialogues that I've been a part of, a lot of them were almost like we should form a relationship and put Jesus, peace be upon him, on the side, because those differences are so irreconcilable and of how we view him that we, the best thing is for us to not talk about it because it'll naturally get offensive. And
okay, so you can hear, this is the statement of Umar Sulaiman from another statement that he says publicly. This shows that these people are compromising their religion. Just the fact that you're getting a pastor from a church to come to your mosque to give a talk, or you to go to his church and give a talk, doesn't mean that the religions are going to become unified like that. The correct way to unify the beliefs is through calling each other to what is correct, by means of knowledge and academic skills, not through mere words of flattering one another, or putting differences aside concerning the core issues of belief, or just by calling each other to here, come give a talk here, you give a talk there. That's not the way of clarity. So this brings confusion. And even the non-Muslims, I doubt they will really respect you because you're not really sincere in clarifying what you actually believe. So this is very important. Also, another affair that I wanted to show, Umar Sulaiman, on his Twitter, he promotes a well-known political activist and a man who was criticized by a number of great scholars. And this is a man that has been criticized, in particular by Sheikh bin Baz, Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymin, even Sheikh Albani, certain words, Sheikh Muqbil. In fact, Sheikh Albani has words concerning many of what these people stand on, and Sheikh bin Baz and the scholars of the Permanent Committee over 25 years ago requested for this particular person, this political activist, that the Saudi government take legal action against him if he doesn't repent. And this is none other than the person referred to as Salman al-Auda. So Umar Sulaiman, he says on his Twitter, the only reformers in Saudi Arabia are the ones rotting in prison cells. And he goes, please keep Sheikh Salman and his family in your prayers. So we said this is the same person that was requested by great scholars of the past that the Saudi government from 1994 take legal action against him if he doesn't repent. So this man persisted upon that time until now. So the Saudi government imprisoned him in the year 1994. And we say, yes, a Muslim government has more than the right to imprison those who they have proven to be a threat to the peace of the community. It's been proven, a number of statements of what he has said in social media and what he has done. And it's no longer an excuse for anyone to come and say, why is he in prison? This is something that goes back to the people of authority. Also, Umar Sulaiman, on his Twitter, he comes and he mentions the affair of visiting the grave of Malcolm X. And he says, he promotes that people go visit the grave of Malcolm X. And we say this has no specialty in Islam. If great scholars were not allowed to go out of our way to go visit their graves, why would we go and visit someone who was, yes, called to justice and called to certain affairs? This is prohibited. And even in specific, we're not even allowed to make a separate visit of a journey to the Prophet's grave. We have to allow it to be with visiting his masjid, and then we come along and visit his grave. So these type of people, they have certain affairs that need to be clarified to the public, that they're not people that we should take our knowledge from. They're not reliable in these affairs. And some other affairs that are quite bizarre from Umar Sulaiman. He has a tendency to promote his lectures with strange titles. For example, he has a talk titled The Ugliest Sahabi. Another one, The Funniest Sahabi, wherein he labels a Sahabi a prankster. While Umar Sulaiman in his talk, he narrates a number of weak narrations concerning that Sahabi and bases his whole talk regarding it. This is the da'i that we're supposed to take knowledge from. As well, from the observations regarding this institute, many of their talks, as you find, they have musical instruments being played and drums and exaggerated nasheeds, Islamic songs, being played as an intro clip for many of their audio clips. They cannot deny. It has no basis to permit what they're doing. All of this supposedly to attract the youth. It's not allowed. From the observations made against some of the instructors is Muhammad Faqih, another key member of Al-Maghrib. He says on his Facebook in the year 2017 that if you truly love God, you should love His creation. And this statement is incorrect. We know that this statement is wrong, since from the creation of God is the devil. Are we supposed to love the devil? There are a number of things from the creation of God which we aren't supposed to love. However, what Muhammad Faqih should have said is we should love what God loves and hate what God hates. This is the statement. This is the correct statement. Also, there's other strange and bizarre statements what he promotes on his Facebook, if you were to see it. Also, from the observations made against this institute, is the founder, Muhammad al-Sharif. he was confronted by one of his followers on the Mamluk online interview, where it was recorded in May of this year, concerning the courses of Al-Maghrib, that they didn't really meet its goal of being a successful learning system, or in specific, the best learning system in the world, of the modern learning system in the world. So Muhammad Sharif, he replies by saying, those students weren't serious. SubhanAllah, thousands of students. These are the people that they say they even give themselves title, a scholar. And I don't need to outsource ourselves to the scholars. So we ask, out of all you supposed scholars, which of you have produced a scholar in the West? Out of all your courses. We see many attend your courses, we still don't see that fruit to say that these people have become real students of knowledge or scholars that could pass on scholarship. So bragging about we taught this amount of students is not the affair. Also from the observations, is from their instructors, is a female named Yasmin Mogahad. She's a well-known member. She's a well-known member of Maghrib. For a number of years now, she has taken the public platform and giving lectures and talks to both men and women. In fact, she holds public sessions of answering questions for both men and women, along with another member of Al-Maghrib, Sulaiman al-Hani, where they sit on the same table together. Literally no space is given between themselves except something small. And they're doing a Q&A session, and the MC is a young woman, and they both add to the awkwardness is laughing and giggling amongst themselves on stage. This is supposedly supposed to be the call to Islam, the call to modesty, and we see much of that being drifted away from the correct guidance. She's been doing this for a number of years, and supposedly she's supposed to be the next role model for our young sisters to become public speakers, speaking to men on public platforms, answering their questions as da'is. Also from the observations was the founder's definition of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah. You're going to hear from what was mentioned is Muhammad al-Sharif, he has a definition of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah.
You know what's interesting, and it's kind of like hitting me right now, the whole point of Ahlus-Sunnah, people of Sunnah, and then they say, well, everybody claims that we're the people of Sunnah, but then the next section of that word is wal-jama'ah, and the majority, and the congregation, right? And that's a great way for people to understand, like if somebody's coming to you and whispering things and saying, you know what, we're really the people of Sunnah, and all these people are wrong, and hey, let's me and you go follow this. Now you know, there's something very dodgy going on, and somebody needs to be paying attention. You have to look at the big picture. Where are the majority? Where's the community going? And look for help in that.
So you can see that his erroneous definition for the word al-jama'ah from the term Ahlus-Sunnah, Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah. He's trying to say is the majority, or being with the community. You know, if that was applied, then the statement of Allah would not be applicable. وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. If you were to obey the majority of the people, they'll misguide you from the correct path. So it's not the majority. We know Allah says, وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. How many verses say that? However, the majority of the people do not know. So the meaning of al-jama'ah is the main original body of the Muslims, which is the Sahaba. So that is the jama'ah, clinging to the real jama'ah, which is the Sahabas. Also, Muhammad Sharif claims we shouldn't want from cholera's to innovations in North America, and he falsely tries to ascribe this understanding to Ibn Taymiyyah.
Telling you the warning style of da'wah is a defensive style that isn't very successful. Instead, and we're living in North America, I'll tell you again, one of the ulama who was with this kind of strictness, when he was asked about North America, he said, I don't think anybody in North America should be boycotted. No one. Because it's a place of da'wah. And taking that from Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, that in North America, let's say that this person is a person of bid'ah, this person a person of sunnah. They're both giving da'wah. Why would you make your da'wah project to tear down the person of bid'ah's da'wah project? Because if he is able to guide people to Islam. At worst case, he will guide them to bid'ah. But they will die with La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah around their neck, and they will have bid'ah. The other option is to kill his da'wah project and let the people die with the cross around their neck. That is the other option. So is it better that he dies with bid'ah, or is it better that he dies as a kafir? And this statement of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, and I'm saying that these are the kibar ulama, even of the strictest opinion, that will say we apply the strictness overseas.
Okay. You can see that statement is based upon emotions. It's not based upon Kitab or Sunnah. And also the methodology of the early scholars, and prior to that the Sahabas. We know that our religion tells us, وَمَنْ رَأَى مِنْكُمْ مُنْكَرًا فَلْيُغَيِّرْ بِيَدِهِ. Whoever sees an evil, then let him change it with his hand. And whoever is not, then let him change it with his tongue. And if not, then hate it with his heart. And from what has been clarified as a religion, that innovations is something evil. It leads to the hellfire. It is something that could even eventually lead to disbelief. As they said, al-bid'ah baridul kufr. And we've seen that Ahl bid'ah are not the best people to guide people from disbelief. And we've seen that they have failed in that regard, many of them. So yes, we warn from them because they are people that have turned many of the people from Islam and given a bad name from the Muslims. Especially, for example, the Khawarij. People don't accept Islam because of seeing the groups of Khawarij. So we need to warn and identify ourselves free from these groups. And yes, if a person, which Allah chose for him to be guided, he'll be guided, whether I warn from this person or not. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He sees a person striving for the truth and takes the means and Allah wants good for that person, he'll become guided. It's upon me, ma alayya illa al-balagh. It's only upon me to convey the correct message of Islam. And whoever accepts the real beauty of Islam, of what the Prophet ﷺ passed on to his companions, and the companions passed on to the best of generations, then this is the guidance that is really intended. So as for just based upon emotions, let us all be quiet about one another. Whoever gets an understanding of Islam from any avenue, then that's the main goal. That's not the main goal. Also from the observations, we'll make it short because of the time, is another key member of this organization called, his name Kamal al-Makki, who was greatly criticized by the general masses some years back for promoting magic and making da'wah a tool for comedy and jokes. Kamal al-Makki, in the following recording, in the year 2019 of this year, March 11, it was posted. He says it's not from the way of the Salaf to constantly ask about those who you wish to take to study from and so forth. We're going to hear this just to see the statement.
This question says, what manhaj are you upon? Allah. UK, you want a piece of me? Come on. Let's roll. Okay, first of all, you need to understand, it was not from the way of the early Muslims, and it was not of the way of the Sahaba to ask people this question. Okay? No one has ever put it upon you to always question people's manhaj. So, salam, how are you doing, brother? What's your name? Where are you from? MashaAllah. What manhaj are you? This is not part of the way of the early Muslims to question people's manahij, okay? But to answer the question, my manhaj is that of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah, okay? And my first teacher, he was a Syrian scholar, he was a student of Shaykh al-Albani, and every other one of my scholars that I studied with were either students of al-Albani or Ibn Uthman or Ibn Baz and so on and so forth. So, but it's not from the way of the early Muslims to question people's manahij constantly. It's like, where are you from and what's your manhaj? Oh, that's nice. So, that's the first thing. But if you want a piece of me, I'm here. Don't worry about it.
Okay, you can see this now, that he's there in the UK at that time, and he's delivering a message of Islam, and he's objecting for people to ask about what is manhaj. Isn't there applying the statements of the ulama of the past, Sammu lana rijalukum, name your men, what manhaj are you upon, who did you study from, what's your background of your education? I need to know, because the scholars have said, Inna hadha al-ilm deen. This knowledge is our religion. So look to whom you take your religion from. So we need to know if the person is qualified, what does he stand on, what type of belief. So it's very important. We constantly need to ask these type of questions to know if the person is upon a genuine, correct methodology or not. So now, the Al-Maghrib Institute currently has 22 instructors. From them is Ahsan Hanif from Green Lane Mosque, who's a presenter for Islam Q&A channel, the same channel that promoted the Deen Squad brothers, the same channel that has much of deviation and misguidance. He's in there. So you find many of their instructors, they're all over the place. They're involved with this program or that program, and there's all lacking clarity. It started from Al-Maghrib. So this is the problem. Also from the instructors is Yahya Ibrahim, another key member of Al-Maghrib Institute and a blogger for the website Muslim Matters, as he identifies himself. Even on his Twitter, he identifies himself back to that website. And that same website has that promotion, as we mentioned, promoting the Arab Spring at that time, and has a lot of other corrupted statements. And this needs to be known, because Yahya Ibrahim, when he comes to Toronto, he comes in certain masajids, they welcome him here. And this is recent time. Yasir Qadi, much has been written about him. He recently resigned, and I believe in May this year, from Al-Maghrib Institute. His issue has been written more than once. He's a man that resembles Salafiyah to the movement of the Protestants of the Christians. He's a man who says that the Quran has to agree with science, and if it doesn't, it has to be interpreted to agree with science. Supposedly the Western science, as he mentioned. And he is the same person that brings doubts regarding affairs of the details of the Quran and its recitation. He himself, he said, I went through the doubts. So this man, Yasir Qadi, there's much has been written on him. I would refer the brothers to what has been written on the website, 50-page article in detail regarding his condition. From the instructors as well is Navad Aziz, who's also another key member of Al-Maghrib. We have addressed some of his issues that relate to him in our classes of 40 hadith. From the members of the instructors of it is Sa'ad Taslim. He's known for his comedy. He's the one that has that common statement, wearing a thobe on the day of Halloween is great. No one looks at you twice, he says. And this is the comedy of these people. And wearing a thobe on the day of Halloween is great, because no one looks at you twice. Also, the other from the instructors is Abu Isa, who has well-known statements against those who speak about the Muslim Brotherhood and ascribes to Salafiyah. Those people, anyone that ascribes to Salafiyah speaks of Muslim Brotherhood on his Facebook. So a lot of these people, their condition have been clarified in separate works and also separate occasions. But I just wish to show this all at once, that Al-Maghrib past and present is an institute that has deviated from the methodology of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah, and there's people now that wish to taint the real history regarding this group and many of its speakers, and they wish to put a disguise that everything that happened in the past was mere personal, or it wasn't concrete issues that had to be addressed. And some of them now are doing the same thing, but under a different name and a different institute. So we want to show قَدْ قَالَهَا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَمَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Those before have said similar statements,